How we doing? Welcome to Red Compass. So obviously when it comes to a yoga practice, really all you need is this. You don't really need anything else. But particularly if you are newer to your yoga practice, or if you have any kind of injury or limitation, or just you want to be able to have the tools you need to continue to let your practice grow and evolve, then having some props is a really, really good thing. It's a way to work on alignment. It's a way to avoid injury. It's a way to use tools at your disposal. And there's a lot of times when you can really use those tools to finesse your practice. So obviously your mat, people will call it a sticky mat. You can get the really cheap ones, you can get the super expensive ones. Mine I've had for a number of years, and it was probably 15 bucks. It's lasted pretty well, surprisingly. I've had better mats, I've had worse mats. It's finding something that works for you, fits your budget, and gives you enough grip. That's why they're called sticky mats. When you first get them, they're pretty slick. You kind of have to break them in. It takes a little while. So if you get a new mat, don't be discouraged that you're slipping and sliding all the time. Your mat just needs a breaking in period. And the best way to do that is through using it. So that's one. And another thing that comes in really handy are blocks. I prefer the cork blocks. They also make foam blocks. Depending on what you're using them for, like if you are using your block to sit on, having the foam block is a little easier to relax into. Sitting on foam blocks is definitely a learned and acquired sensation. But I like the cork blocks because oftentimes we're using the block as a bridge to the earth. And I want to have that bridge give me the same amount of stability and the same amount of support as the earth would. So, for example, how would I use my block? I can use it in a couple of ways, as that bridge again. So, one of the poses that a lot of people struggle with, that blocks come in really handy, is Utthita Trikonasana, also known as triangle pose. So, in triangle pose, many of us struggle to reach the earth. And so what happens is we wind up kind of bending in our waist or rolling in the ribs in an attempt to try to reach the floor. Like, it's there. So when we have our block, now the earth has come up to us. So I can use that, and then I can lengthen my ribs. Now I can really open the spine. I can extend the legs. So what I've done is I've now made this shape accessible to my body where I am at. And having the block, as my body adapts, I can adapt the block. As my body adapts, I can adapt the block. And eventually you may find that you no longer require that tool, and that's okay. So that's one way we can use our blocks. Another way that we can use our blocks is to work on, there's some physical sensations, squeezes and things like that. So blocks come in really, really, really handy. I like my blocks. The other one is the strap. So, tip from me to you, that if you're going to have your own strap, get the one with the metal rings. Because when you're using that strap as a tool to create tension or as a tool to create stability, the ones with the metal rings, when you make your loop, they don't slide, they don't give Those plastic ones sometimes will slip or they'll break. So we don't like that. So how do we use our strap? So for example, if my shoulders are really tight and I have a hard time joining my hands behind me, I can increase the range in my shoulders by using my strap. And over time, I can walk my hands closer together. I can walk my hands closer together until I have the mobility in my shoulders to be able to connect the hands. And that's fine. Same thing here. This is one that a lot of people struggle with, is I can use that, again, as a bridge to create the connection when my body's maybe not quite there yet. And then, of course, the most classic way to use our strap is to lengthen our arms or our legs. And so I can use the strap as a tool. So for example, if I'm doing compass pose, yeah, I went there. If I'm doing compass pose and my body's not quite ready for it yet, I can use my strap to lengthen to make the connection until I'm there yet. And eventually, I might find I don't need it. So those are some of the tools that we use in our practice. And so especially if you have a home practice or you're at a studio or a gym that doesn't have props, it's good to invest into your own because it's a way to prevent injury. It's a way to work on your alignment. It's a way to take your body into some of these shapes that are more challenging and make them achievable, to make them approachable, to make them less daunting. And so that's something that I would definitely recommend. All right? So, no, I don't sell them. You can just buy them online. You can go to the store. So, hopefully I will see you and your props sometime soon. Namaste.